Welcome back, fellow bingers, to your one-stop shop for figuring out what to watch next.
That's right, it's Binge Guide, serving up your shortcut to the next show. And this time, we're diving deep, really deep, into the upcoming horror flick, Bring Her Back.
You know, chills already running down my spine just thinking about it, especially because it's from the same creative minds behind Talk to Me.
Talk to Me. The film that basically set a new standard for creepy and, launched the Philippou brothers, Danny and Michael, into the horror stratosphere.
If you're even remotely into the genre, you've probably seen it, and if not, well, that's probably the first thing you should add to your list after this episode.
For sure. It's not every day a film comes along and just grabs you by the throat like that.
And it's interesting, right? Because these guys, the Philippou brothers, they cut their teeth on YouTube with their channel Raka, which was all about, well, let's just say out there comedy and special effects.
Yeah, like a whole different vibe than the slow burn dread of Talk to Me, but you can kind of see the connection, that willingness to push boundaries to get under your skin.
Totally. So today we're digging into what we know so far about Bring Her Back, trying to piece together whether it's going to live up to the hype, whether it deserves a spot on your must-watch list, all spoiler-free, of course.
Absolutely. Let's start with the premise. What's the basic story we're dealing with here?
Okay, so we've got a brother and sister who, for whatever reason, end up living with a new foster mother in this big, creepy, isolated house.
Classic horror setup right there. Isolation, vulnerability, secrets lurking in the shadows.
And lurking they are. Because these kids start uncovering a hidden ritual, something seriously messed up that someone's been trying to keep under wraps.
Ooh, that's where the chills start multiplying, right? A hidden ritual. What could it be? Who's behind it?
And here's the kicker. The Philippou brothers have actually called Bring Her Back a spiritual successor to Talk to Me. So it's not a direct sequel, but it's playing in the same thematic sandbox, if you will.
That's a bold statement, considering how original and impactful Talk to Me was. It's like saying, we're not just going to try and recreate that magic, we're going to dig even deeper into the darkness.
And they've got the chops to pull it off, too. Talk to Me wasn't just scary, it was smart. It played with familiar horror tropes like possession, but then flipped them on their head.
They kept you guessing, kept you on edge, and then bam, hit you with something you didn't see coming.
So now we've got these trailers that have dropped for Bring Her Back, and they're giving us these tantalizing glimpses into the story and the character.
And the atmosphere, oh man, the atmosphere. They're just dripping with this sense of dread and unease.
One of the key figures we see is Sally Hawkins playing the foster mother, and I gotta say, just her presence adds a whole other layer of intrigue.
Sally Hawkins, two-time Oscar nominee, known for these incredibly nuanced and emotionally powerful performances. You just know she's going to bring something special to this role.
There's this one scene in the trailer, she's talking about losing her daughter Kathy, and she just says, "I didn't." It's so simple, but so powerful.
You can feel the grief, the denial, maybe even a hint of something darker, something obsessive.
And then she drops this bombshell. Some people believe the spirit stays in the body for months after death. We can bring her back.
Oh, whoa. Okay, so we're dealing with some serious supernatural shenanigans here. Reanimation, bringing back the dead. That's some next level creepy right there.
Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but in one of the trailers, there's this quick shot of footage that looks like it's from an old home video camera.
Ooh, interesting. You think we might have a found footage element woven into the story?
Could be. And if so, that would add a whole other dimension to the mystery and the scares. Like, whose perspective are we seeing? What secrets are hidden in those tapes?
The descriptions of the trailers also mention this really interesting visual style. They're saying it's terrifying, but also beautiful, which is a pretty powerful combination in horror.
Yeah, it's like that unsettling beauty you see in films like The Shining, Images that are both horrifying and strangely captivating.
From what I've gathered, we're talking about things like these ghostly images flickering on old video screens, some seriously messed up scenes involving bath time, an empty swimming pool that somehow radiates this sense of impending doom.
It's that kind of visual storytelling that can really stick with you, make the horror feel more real, more visceral.
Absolutely. And it sounds like the Philippou brothers are really leaning into that aspect.
Okay, so let's talk about the cast a bit more. We've got Sally Hawkins as the foster mother, Laura.
But who are the kids? Who are these siblings caught in the middle of this supernatural nightmare?
Well, the brother and sister are played by Billy Barratt and Sora Wong, both really talented young actors.
And there's another kid in the foster home, Oliver, played by Jonah Wren Phillips. Sounds like he might be pretty important to the story.
Yeah, I'm really curious about his role. Is he going to be an ally to the siblings, or is there something more sinister going on with him? I guess we'll have to wait and see. In terms of where it was filmed, Bring Her Back was shot entirely in South Australia, specifically around Adelaide.
The Philippou brothers actually grew up in that area, so I wonder if there's a personal connection there, you know? Maybe some of the locations or the overall vibe of the film is drawn from their own childhood experiences?
Could be. They wrapped up filming back in August after a pretty tight 41-day shoot. And now, the big question, when can we actually see this thing?
Mark your calendars, folks. Bring Her Back is hitting theaters in Australia on May 29th, 2025, and then in the US on May 30th.
A24 is handling the US release, which, given their track record with horror, is a pretty good sign.
Yeah, they've got a knack for picking out those unique, thought-provoking, and often downright terrifying films.
And Sony Pictures' worldwide acquisitions has snagged the international distribution rights, so it sounds like Bring Her Back is going to have a pretty wide reach.
I think it's safe to say that the success of Talk to Me has really set the stage for this one. You know, Talk to Me wasn't just a critical darling, it was a box office hit too.
I mean, think about it. It even outperformed Hereditary, which was a massive success for A24. And those Rotten Tomatoes scores, 94% from critics and 83% from audiences, speak for themselves.
So yeah, the bar is definitely high for Bring Her Back. But here's the thing, the Philippou brothers, they seem to thrive under pressure. Remember, they were already working on a prequel short and a sequel to Talk to Me even before that film was released.
They clearly have a vision, and they're not afraid to go all in on it.
So, wrapping it all up, what do you think? Does Bring Her Back have what it takes to be the next show?
From what we've seen and heard so far, I'd say it's a pretty strong contender. You've got those incredibly talented filmmakers who aren't afraid to push boundaries, a seriously intriguing premise, and Sally Hawkins in a role that's practically tailor-made for her.
Yeah, plus those trailers, man, those trailers. Just the glimpses we've gotten of the visuals and the atmosphere are enough to make you want to sleep with the lights on.
If you're a horror fan, this one is definitely worth keeping on your radar.
Absolutely. Make sure to check out Bring Her Back when it hits theaters on May 30th. It just might be the kind of film that stays with you long after you've seen it.
And that concludes our deep dive into Bring Her Back. Remember, we're your binge guide, always here to help you navigate the ever-expanding world of film and TV and find the next show that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
Until next time, happy viewing.
And, maybe try not to think about those bath time scenes too much before you go to sleep. Just saying.